Ooh, this thing got cool down here. I'm back. Let me put on something on my shoulders because I turned off the heater. The heater disturbs the sound here. But anyway, I'm back at Photina, the lady at the well. And we were talking about her third husband, which is dealing with her second and third child. Okay. And we're going on some of the things that she's said. Um, she's had some problems with them first three husbands. But anyway, let's get on, and we're still talking about that third husband. I have seen a lot of women turn frumpy once they became mothers, lose their sexual attractiveness, and look plain and worn and twice their age. I was determined that would never happen to me. For my children's sake as well as my own, I would stay young and attractive so they could be proud of me. What is more, I wanted to find them a father. And I could never quite get up the hope that there might be a good and reliable man in this world, despite all my disappointments so far. To be honest, my shortage of means meant I had no option but to be ready to accept a man into my life again. I was fortunate to have somewhere in life, but that was all I had. Pursue him. Make him support you, declared my parents. About my third husband. Yeah, make your third husband support you. Father of my two younger children. But I could not take that risk of pursuing him for financial support. I might end up with him back. So it was that fourth husband, husband number 4, came to my welcome into my home. He brought richness to life in both a material and a social sense, and provided a little breathing space. But I was realistic about this future. I'll enjoy this while it lasts, I said to myself. If he was my fourth husband, I must have been his 10th woman. And of course, it did not last. He is the one I would really have liked to stay. But I always knew the odds were against it, and I did not let myself mourn too long. Yeah, she liked that fourth husband. She liked the second husband. She didn't like that first and third one too much. Okay. Let's deal with husband number 5. And it looks like her fourth baby. Okay. Husband number 5 was the worst disaster of all. He seemed a safe character, not a showy type, but quite an intense. All went well for over a year, and I bore him my 4th child. Then one day, he hit me. Many women have been hit by their husbands, of course, but there was a ferocity in the blow that put me on my guard. I said nothing to him, but to myself I said, if it ever happens again, if it ever happens again. A month later, he lashed out again, knocking me to the floor and picking me up again by my hair before crashing my head against the wall. Getting rid of a violent man is one of the most difficult and dangerous tasks that a woman can face. If I had not acted swiftly, I would most likely have been sucked into a cycle of violence from which escape became impossible. There were others in Sychar like that, helpless victims trying to soften the blows by their submission, forced to live a hidden life out of fear that any argument, any publicity, any outside plea for help would earn them a beating from which they would never recover. Thank God that was not my style. My reputation was already so tarnished that I did not care what anyone said about me, for it was always the woman who is thought a liar and not the man. I laid plans long in advance, tipping off friends and neighbors and asking them to turn up in force with all their acquaintances if there was an incident. Meanwhile, I said nothing to him. Then when he was away one day, I had the lock changed and bolts put on the windows. When he came back that night, he stood outside and yelled and banged, but because a crowd gathered who knew exactly what the problem was, he could not touch me. He turned up every night for a week to make the same row, but my friends stood by me and came simply to be there and observe. In the end, he gave up and went away, leaving nothing more behind him than a fifth child in my womb. From that time on, I knew it would be dangerous not to have a man in the home, for he could return at any time without warning, and so I took in friends and travelers and lodgers, anyone to keep the house occupied. Occasionally they slept in my bed, but that was not the usual pattern. From now on, I was more wary of relationships and felt I could never entrust myself to a man in marriage again. I'm going to stop here with husband number 4 and baby 4, and I'll come back in the next session to discuss further, because she got another husband, and then she met Jesus. So I'm going to sum this up in our next meeting. Very interesting, wasn't it? Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough. We must do. Until we meet again, I love you.